Hi, it's Jay from Iridescent Tarot, back with some more sparkle for you. I am still wearing my Cracked Polish Experiment polish and my Bassett's Ice Cream Hot Cocoa perfume. I just wanted to chat a little bit about my Thoth study because I've mentioned it in a couple of different videos, and I kind of wanted to give a little bit of an insight into how it's been going, how I've been feeling about it, what it's looked like for me. So how this all started was probably even farther back than Thoth for me, was me looking into vintage copies of the RWS. And throughout my research in that rabbit hole, I started learning a little bit. There were tinges of the Thoth greenie. And so that was its own little rabbit hole that I went down. And ultimately, what I ended up doing was buying this MPC greenie on linen cardstock and edging it myself. And of course, as it goes, I really enjoy finding the perfect version of something. So for RWS for me, that was the vintagey Pam A, but on the MPC linen cardstock with the gold gilding. Like, once I got this deck, I felt like I really didn't need to have a whole ton of RWSs in my collection. And I kind of felt like with finding this MPC greenie on linen that I don't need a ton of Thoth copies in my collection. And I do think that that's true. Like, had this had actual gilding on it, I think it would have been 100% perfect, but we'll go with 90-something% perfect. Basically, I've convinced myself that I don't need an actual vintage greenie because I have this. But now that I have this, obviously I have to learn how to read with it. So I did what any normal tarot tube lurker does, and I went down a Thoth study rabbit hole. And that basically led me to a few of the Tarotubers that really enjoy working with Thoth, specifically Lennon Smith. Like, I binge watched all of her content pretty much. Anna from Astro Lady Tarot, and then all of our favorites like Lisa Pepez and Marlena Teresa and Dawn Michelle. Like, they all had at least some content on Thoth that I watched. So I basically kind of like slurped up whatever information that I could from Tarotube. And then, and that included study materials. So that's how I came across these two books. I have the actual Book of Thoth from, that was written by Aleister Crowley, and Understanding the Thoth Tarot by Lon Milo Duquette. And these, my thought process behind this is that everyone talks about how the actual Book of Thoth is kind of like, as Marlena says, cuckoo bananas, like a brain scrambler. And so I felt like I needed a guidebook to kind of help shepherd me through understanding what's in here. But I really wanted to like go to the source, as they say, and see what this book said originally, and then get this to like translate that for me in a way that would make sense in my brain. So the way that I started the study out is that I read the intro to Lon Milo Duquette just to get an overview, and then I started in on the cards. And what that looked like for me was I would read the passage in Lon's book and highlight it with this weird like highlighter pencil that I have that I like. Once I felt like I had a decent understanding from Lon's book, I would then go to the Book of Thoth and read the entries and highlight here. Once I finished reading and highlighting both books, I would go to my own little Thoth journal that I made here and basically rewrite any of the pertinent information that I found from those two books. So I would start with my Lon section and write whatever was pertinent for there. And then I would write what my findings were from Crowley. And then once I finished writing these notes down to try to solidify some of the information in my brain, I was going and watercoloring my own version of the card. And so basically I was trying to pull out the details that I found most relevant and create the card in a way that like had the information sink into my brain a little bit more, and then just like maybe a little bit more of my aesthetic of like this bright, colorful type artwork. So obviously this process was taking me an extremely long time. I was spending multiple days on every card between the reading, the highlighting, the rewriting, sketching out the card, watercoloring it. And as you can see, this process ended with the Empress. It was just too much. And while I would love to continue this on at some point, it was like, if I want to get through this Thoth study, I can't like take this much time on every single card, because this will take me years. What I've pared it down to now is the same process with the books, except I'm writing down even less information. And once I do that, I'm like, I scrapped the watercolor idea. And the issue is, to be honest, that a lot of this information goes over my head. I was talking about this with Erin, the Witch of Saturn. She's like, why don't you just scrap the whole study? And I feel like once I get into something, like it's really hard for me to like back out of it. Like I have a hard time DNFing a book. And even when it came to finishing my Mysteries of Mary study, like I got through the majors and 2 suits of that, and I wanted to stop, but I like forced myself to finish it. There's part of me that's glad that I did that, because I feel like I like squeezed the sponge and like got everything that I wanted out of that deck. But there's a part of me that also is like, why are you putting yourself through this if you're not enjoying it? I keep just like comparing this to like eating my taro vegetables. Like maybe it's not something that is super exciting, but it's something that's good for me. I don't know. I guess there's that stronger part of me that like wants to learn this information, wants to understand, wants to be able to employ the Thoth system in my practice. And so it's going like it knows and it's willing to do this kind of work to get there. But it's not without its effort. Like I knew on page 4 of the Book of Thoth that we were going to have some issues here. There's just like all these math equations and words that I don't understand. And so taking the time to like look up each word that I don't understand and try to put the pieces together, like this is it's a difficult process. And I'm hoping that it's a case of like good things take time and that end up being useful for me. Like even if my brain is only absorbing 50% of the information per card that I'm reading about, it's still 50% more information than I had about Thoth before I started this. So I don't feel like the need or the desire to soak up every single tidbit of information. I don't think that's realistic at this point, but I am hoping that I'm able to get just like a new perspective and understand why people like reading with Thoth. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I will continue my slog through Thoth. I have a goal to finish this by the end of the year because spoiler alert, Erin and I are starting a Marseille study in January. And I know that once I start that, I will not have the time or energy to look at this again. I am only on card 11 through the majors of this, so it's going to take like a feat of strength to get through the rest of these by the end of the year. But I think by cutting the watercolor and cutting the amount that I'm rewriting, it's really going to help that. And yeah, I guess to be continued. If anyone has any questions about anything that I mentioned in this video, I'm happy to answer in the comments below. And please like and subscribe and let me know if there's any other way that you want to kind of follow along with this process of mine. All right, that's all. Talk to you later. Signing out.